Alright, so this tutorial is going to be strictly on sprite animation. So I'm guessing we all decided to go ahead and go with a Hollow Knight animation style. Completely fine. It's actually easy to do. So what I need to do first is I actually need to come up into player sprites. So we have these sprites right here. I actually need to get the idle sprite. And I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to open it in a new document. So we have layer 1, and this is the entire player. We don't really need to do anything with that one. However, for layer 2, we're going to set this to 1. We're going to name this arm. You can call this arm front, or you can call it arm right, but it's essentially going to be this arm right here. So we're going to call this arm upper. I'm just going to call it front because it's easier to keep track of it. So for the arm front, I'm actually going to do the arm and part of the sleeve. The sleeve will be like so, and I'm actually going to create the whole sleeve. And then I'll just come up here and do that. I might go ahead and add that. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The next thing I need to do is actually add the arm itself. And the way I do that is just like this. So if you notice, all I've done is literally just made a circle. This is literally all I have done, is just made a little circle. Now, there is an issue with this, is that the sleeve is going to be clipping through. There we go. The sleeve is actually going to be clipping through. Now, normally when I do this, I actually create an outline layer first. So let me go ahead and erase that real quick, because we don't actually need it. Normally I do a circle, just kind of make it easier for me to keep track. So this is going to be our outline layer for the arm upper front. And then the next thing we need to do is actually get the color right here. So I'm going to select the eyedropper. I'm going to click right here, and then I'm going to hide that. I will then click here. I'm going to go to select, grow selection, grow it by 2. That should work. Alright, let's go ahead and start. That is the wrong tool. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to create another layer underneath arm front outline, so this way I can paint it and I don't have to worry about anything. And so the next thing I want to do, this will be arm upper front color. And so now that I've done that, if you notice the arm outline is on top of the collar, that's actually important, because if it was the other way around, this is the result you'd get. We don't want that. We don't like it. So I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to get the color of her shirt, turn that off. And this is probably going to be the most boring tutorial you have seen me make yet, but it's actually very easy to do. So as you can see, I'm just doing a quick little circle right here. That is kind of important. The size of the circle is important, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So let me finish coloring all of this in. There we go. That looks good. So that looks really good. So if we turn this on, we can actually see that the shirt layer, or the upper arm layer, is going into the body layer. That's not good, because the body is actually going to be behind this arm due to the angle that she's standing. So I'm going to set this to 10. I'm just going to erase some of that. There we go. That was probably a little too much. I definitely want to erase this part up here. Definitely. Okay. Awesome. So there's our arm upper. And now we need to do the front arm lower. So I'm actually going to group these together. This is arm upper front. I'll now collapse that group. And now I'm going to create the arm front. So we'll go to our black layer. I'm going to set this to 1. I think that's what I was working with on the other one. Can't remember. If not, I'll figure it out real quick. So I'm just going to trace over this. Now here's what's interesting. For the arm upper, you actually need to try and figure out where those lines are. So right about here is where I want to create this and then trace over. So I'm actually going to give her thumb a little bit more definition. Turn that off, and there we go. So now you might be wondering, well, why do you do that? I'll show you actually here in just a second. This is arm, front, lower. And I'd actually do this too with the hand if I was going to animate the hand. So this first video is basically just rigging and setting it up for animation. The next video that I do will actually be for the true animation. So arm, front, lower, color. This one needs to be outline. So now we have our color, and we can go ahead and start coloring everything in. So I'm going to set this to 3. Just going to color over this real quick. And I actually forgot the little parts of her hand, so I'll actually paint that in as well. There is a reason for all the setups that I do. I promise I'm not just doing it to be, I guess you'd say, tedious or whatever. I actually have a reason for everything I do. So I took this little wand tool and I clicked outside of the alpha level, or the alpha layer, because I'm sure I don't have all these. A little easy trick that you can do is you can simply select, invert selection. Now all of my hand is selected. All I have to do then is go to select, shrink selection. I'm going to shrink it by 1. And then I can just simply paint in here. And I know everything has been gotten. So I'm good. I actually painted a little too much. There we go. Because I actually painted out here. And although you can't see it, well, now you can. This does track everything outside of this. So you need to be careful whenever you're doing that. Just make sure you don't... Come on. There we go. Let me paint that real quick. Make sure I get it. And we'll go back to 1. Alright, so now you can see that with this setup, this actually looks more like the player's arm. So with the player, though, is she actually has these right here, these little 2 dots, I guess. I don't know what they're called. So I'm just going to paint those in real quick. So now when we turn those on, that's what we get. So the next thing that we need to do is her body. And the body will actually be behind the arm. Well, actually, the next thing we need to do is group these together. So this will be arm, front, lower, and there we go. So the idea that we're doing behind this is we create all the body components that we're going to move and animate, and then all we have to do is just move them by rotate them or whatever, and that's essentially how we're going to do it. We can either do that inside of Unity, or we can do that inside of Krita. Diet Cola. So either way that we would have done this, if we would have done it frame by frame, or if I would have actually created like a joint animation for this, we still would have had to have done this process. These steps right here. These steps are actually crucial to creating this. The way I did the plant was just a real basic way of animating. It's not really a proper way. There really is no set in stone proper way of doing it because everything will have a different requirement. But generally there are guidelines that you want to kind of follow. One of the guidelines I like to do is try to keep this opacity kind of low so I can see exactly where I'm working. So let's say I want to create this arm back. I'll just simply create a new layer. You already know what this layer is going to be. So the reason why I am, I'm actually going to just create it like that. The reason why I'm also doing this back layer, because you'll never actually see that arm. Even when she flips around, you'll never see it. And it's just easier to put it there. That way you have a spot that you can, I guess, kind of lock onto. So this arm is going to come around here. And then come back up around here. So that is done. This is arm, back, upper. Then I'm going to create a new layer. This will be called arm, back, lower. So then I can just kind of like create that real quick. Come in here. I'm actually going to have this around here. Alright, and then I'm going to There we go. And so then the next thing I need to do is the body. So I'm actually going to put the body underneath the front arm. I'm going to turn off those groups for the time being. So the body, this will be body outline. Body will actually come around here. So I actually want this belt in with the body. Is there a requirement? No. It's just a preference. I think for this, what I'm actually going to do is just come back around here and then drop it right down over here. And for this right here, I actually need to turn off the arm upper so this way I can see where I'm working. So right here I need a little bit more curvature. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. Yeah, it's still a little lopsided. Let's go ahead and fix that and make that look right. That just looks too pointy. Okay, there we go. That looks better. So the next thing we need to do is, I'm going to turn that back on. I'm actually going to, I need to add the words outline to these. So the legs are actually going to be behind the body. So this is going to be called leg upper front, because it matches this side where the body's at, or where the arm is at. And so this would just kind of like come out here, come down here. So I want the knees to be able to bend. I'm just going to stop that right there. So leg upper front, that will be outline. And then we have this right here, which will be, this actually needs to come up around here and then come around here. I'm just going to make it do that. This is leg lower front outline. I'm actually going to create one more layer, and this will be the foot outline. I'm going to make that less defined because I feel like it. Alright, there we go. We can actually add a little bit more definition coming upwards. I think that will give the foot a little bit more of a unique look. I also add something there. There we go. And this will be foot front outline. Okay. So for the back leg, this leg is actually going to be behind this, so all of these now need to be underneath the other legs. So this will be leg upper back outline. I'm just going to start right here. I'm just going to come down over here and match this up. This will actually need to be in front of that, so this will be leg lower back outline. Create a little bit of indentation there. Set this up, put that there. Now I'm going to create one more underneath those, and actually the foot needs to be underneath those. So the foot front will be underneath the upper and lower parts of the outline, and the reason for this is because the middle part will be on the outside. That's going to be the main rotation part, but the rest of it won't be. So the only thing that you have to be kind of careful with on the foot, and this is something I'm kind of worried about, but we'll see how it works out. So the only thing you have to kind of worry about is if the foot rotates or not, because you'd actually have a pivot right across here rather than right up here. But as long as you don't rotate the feet, you should be okay. You can like rotate the legs a little bit, and she is a bunny, so she will have different joints, but it's just something to kind of be aware of. So foot, back, outline. Alright, so now that we have created all of our outlines, we can actually start grouping all these together. And so this will be body. Oh wait, we don't have the head yet. So this will be leg lower front. Control G. There we go. Leg lower front. Leg upper front. Foot front. And there's a reason why I'm grouping these. One, it'll make it a lot easier to animate, and two, it'll be easier to keep up with. So this is lower leg. So Control G. Leg lower back. Leg upper back. Foot back. This is arm back. So this is just arm back lower. Control G. And we got one more, which this is arm back upper, so that's what we'll call it. Arm back upper. We'll still need one for the head, which we'll do that later. So for this now is what we need to do is go ahead and create a new layer. There we go. Okay, that works. So this is the arm back upper, so we actually need to select this. We'll set this to 3. Just color this in real quick. I'm actually going to turn this layer off. I'm going to go to my gray. Set this to 5, which is the same number I need to take. Gotta take a number 5. Alright, so this is probably going to be one of the videos where you hear me call myself a dumbass the least amount of times. I apologize for that. Alright, so we're actually going to turn this layer back on. We're going to maximize it on its opacity. We'll drop it back down, turn it off. And the reason why, because I actually have a different color down here. So I'll need to set this to 3. There we go. And so we can go ahead and collapse that on back lower and create a new layer. Drag this up here, and we're just going to fill it with this color. So I'm actually going to say 7. I want to hurry up and get this done. I also want to turn this off so I can see exactly what I am painting. Make it a little easier. And I should really have a green or a green background. I'll actually do that once I'm done, just checking over everything. And so all I'm going to do is just keep working and keep doing these layers. So this is foot. This is the back foot. Set this to 3. Okay. I'm going to do the foot front now. This will be, let's set to 5. Now you might be wondering why I don't just use the fill tool, this tool right here, and just click it. Well, this is why. Oh, hey, it actually did it. I'm shocked. A lot of times, even though these are different layers and whatnot, it'll actually completely ignore it and fill up everything around it. So I'm actually surprised it didn't do that this time. It completely made an ass out of me. Go figure. That's what I get for being untrusting. Alright, so that should be all of the body parts except for the head. So now we can actually click on this light gray. We're also going to need a blue for this stripe, so I'm just going to go ahead and color everything first. So this is the body. And if you remembered, I said I want the belt included. The belt is my divider. So that's the reason for me wanting the belt in there. I'm actually going to set this to 1. I'm going to click on black. I'm going to click on the outline. I'm actually going to make this connect. Now I'll come back to this color. Oops. Oh, that's right, because that's going to be blue. Duh. So let me go ahead and turn this layer back on. Set the opacity to 100%. I'm going to get this blue. There we go. Turn that off. Go back to body. Yeah, that's probably one of the more boring tutorials. I apologize for that, you guys. But at this point, you should be able to just kind of like skip through the video. You might be able to go on to part 2. Completely optional. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, I don't blame you. I'm not going to say, no, you have to watch it. That's not my call. That is your call. If you're unsure about how I do something, you can stick through and watch it. In fact, just so you don't have to sit there and watch me paint the legs or anything like that, I'm going to go ahead and create the head layer. So this way, if you want to skip through it, you can. Completely optional. I'm not going to hold it against you if you do. I'm actually going to turn the body off temporarily. So we have this layer right here. This will be head layer. Not head layer. This will be head outline. So one thing I want to suggest, the head needs to be above the body, but it needs to be behind the arms. So whichever arm is in front, it'll always be underneath that, but it will always be above everything else. If you create a hair layer, which I'm actually going to do, just so we can have our hair animated, then that will be above the head layer, but once again underneath the arm layer. So here's where we get interesting. How are we going to create the hair? Well, here's how we do it. We create an outline. I'm actually going to click on this and lower the transparency so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So we have the head outline. That's just going to come around here like so. Alright. As you see, I do paint in the eyes. Kind of an important part. The ear, it is part of the head, but more specifically, I want it to be able to move with the hair. And so that's why I'm not actually painting that onto the head. Instead, I'm actually going to create a new layer. This will be called hair layer. Specifically, no, screw you, hair outline. So this part is actually really, really interesting. You're actually going to have 2 layers. Just like how we had the arm front, this one is going to be hair front, and then we'll have hair back. So depending on how intricate your sprite is, will depend on how many layers you do with the hair. For this one, I only have 2. And the outline for the back is right here. And let's say I want to create some hair right here. I'll do something like that. So now we have the front. The front comes down here, comes across, comes over here. We also have the ear, so the ear is going to be really interesting. I probably should have actually created another layer for the ear, but you know what? Screw it. This is actually going to be a different style of animation, so I'm not too worried about the ear being on the same layer of this. But depending on how intricate I wanted to get this, I could have made the ear on another layer and done it that way. For sprites, you can actually set up bone joints to animate the hair and have the hair move at different rates and things like that. Anime Studio is a prime example of them doing this. In fact, one of the template scenes they show you an anime character with a bone joint set up in his hair, and they have those animated. So, let's see, we're already at 25 minutes. I'm going to try and hurry this tutorial up. So this will be Control G. This will be head. Heady. This will be hair front. And this one will be hair back. Alright, so I'm going to go through these as quick as I can, because I know I'm kind of like getting on the edge. So for hair front, well, we just need to click on this, crank up the opacity, get the color. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on hair front. The fuck? Okay, I don't know why that's... What the hell? That can go in there. And this can go in there. And then that can go above there. Little bastard. So I'm actually going to paint this real quick. There we go. And that will actually give me a use color up here. Then I'm going to select this. And I'm going to hide this. So we have hair back. I'm going to create a new layer. Move this up here. Layer 38. I'm just going to color this in. I'm going to set this to 3 so that way I can color it quicker. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I believe this was the layer I did for the hair back. It is! Holy crap, I can't believe I remembered that. So now we have this, and I can literally just click on this tool. And I'm going to expand. Let's see, select, grow to, there we go. Set this back to, actually I think I'm going to do 3. Click off of that. I did not mean to do that. So all I'm trying to do is just start tracing within these lines. I'm going to set this to 1 because I'm actually bleeding through. That's not good. There we go. Alright, come back to this. Alright. Hair looks like it is just about done, so I'm going to be happy with that. I need the bunny ear color. I'm going to set this to 3. So then I'm going to come down here. I'm actually going to create a new layer for the head outline. Still at 28 minutes, doing good. The eye will get colored in, but that's going to be on a different layer. Right now I'm just doing the other colors. I'm actually going to turn the hair front layer off so I can see what I am doing. Jimmy got quiet. Yes, I did. I'm also getting tired. I don't know why, because I slept a good amount today. Must have needed it. Alright, so we have done that. We'll come back down here. We're going to turn this on. We're going to get this color right here. Actually, let's get this color. Okay, it's the same color. Excellent. I'm going to turn the hair layer back on. Click on that. Time to start coloring. So I'm actually missing some of these. All I'm going to do is just kind of like come into it like that. Go back to this dark color, come down here. Come back over here. Now this character in particular has a very unique mark around her eye, so I want to try and capture that. So this is where... Oh, I can't do that as another layer. Oh, that's fine. I'll just do it this way. There we go. And then I'll choose white. I'll paint around the eye. This is why I do the black as an outline. This way I can see what I'm doing. Then I'll choose blue to slightly go over that. So when I turn that off and go to maximum opacity, that is what we have. So that looks good. Alright, so we have hair back, that's colored, the face is all colored. Probably want to define these a little bit more, just because it may seem unnecessary. Listen here, you bastard. It may seem unnecessary, but I promise it is very necessary. The more detail you put into it, the more it's going to stick out. So just by changing that, you can see that that now has a more defined edge. So it is definitely necessary. So this video is at 31 minutes. I'm actually going to pause it and finish coloring it all in, and then I'll resume the video after that. Alright, so now that I've finished all of those layers, we have the body right here. Well, that doesn't look like what we started with. I know. Give me a second. And you can see we have the head. This character looks identical already. Then we have the hair. We have the hair back. We have the arm. And then now when we start adding in the rest of it, so we have the foot back, we have the leg upper back, and then we have this one. You can already see how it's starting to come together. When we start adding in the rest of these, this is what we're left with. And if we were to take this layer, I'm going to move this layer all the way up here to the very top. So you can see, yeah, there's a few changes, but for the most part, it is identical or nearly identical to the original character that we had started with. So the next tutorial will be how to create animations with the character, and I'll see y'all there.